Well, welcome, Team Star.
Well, thank you very much.
Right now we're sitting in, this is not 160 kilometers from south of Stockholm, in a place called Kolmården. It's a small red cottage, Swedish cottage with white trim around. Yeah, exactly. A typical Swedish cottage. And this is your store right now?
Yeah. This is the place where I do my business and where I spend most of my days.
And then
right
you also
here.
have a workshop here.
Yeah, and I have my workshop. It's just a few feet from here.
And you grew up here. You were born in.
I was born and grew up here in Åby, which is just about 11 minutes exactly from here with the car. So it's very nearby.
And also in Åby there was.
In Åby with. Where Harrius was located, so I lived very close to him, so I have to jump over his fence and his yard to go to school, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You didn't know that?
I didn't know there was a magic shop. I knew it was a shoe shop. That's what I thought it was.
And Harrius, you could tell the listeners what Harrius really is for those who...
Oh, Harrius is a magic manufacturing company that's been in business now for exactly 100 years. They started in 1910. And there was Harrius, the old man that started this, and his sons took over it. And they've been running it for 100 years, and they produce beautiful magic and old-time magic, even some new stuff. But they've been there for a long time, and that's where I got my start.
Mm-hmm. But how did you start in magic?
I actually saw somebody in a summer house in Arkösund, it was called. It was a neighbor there that did magic. And he said, I asked him, where the heck you learned all that stuff? And where do you get these props from? He said it was one magic shop at that time in Sweden. Mm-hmm. And it's in a little town called Åby. And I said, no, I live in Åby. There's no magic shop there. Oh, yeah, go into the shoe shop. Knock on the back door there, and you'll see. So I did, and my golly, there was a magic shop. I got in, and all this magic just was there, and that was it.
That was it. Okay.
That was it.
And then you started to build your own act.
Yes.
And also you worked at Harrius.
Yes, I did. There were two brothers, and one brother suddenly passed away. He was the one that did all the metal and soldering, welding, and things like that. The other brother did painting and wood. And when he passed away, the guy that did the metal, Bengt, said, is there any way you can help us out? So I started working there after school. So every time I just jump in there, and I made candles, I made all this stuff for them. And I worked there all the way until I left to go to the United States.
Yeah, and before that you won some Nordic championships and Swedish championships.
Yes. Yeah, I did the Scandinavian Championship and Swedish Championships and in competitions, and that was great. And then I left to go to the United States in the 70s.
Well, you had a beautiful dove act, and hopefully we will put up a link to that dove act so people can see it.
Yeah.
But that link is from later on in your career. It's,
yes.
I think from 88 or something like that.
Yeah, it didn't look like that to start with. It was basically, but when I got to the United States, I couldn't take my birds with me at that time, so I had to get them there, and I gradually built it up. So I had 13 birds, and there was cockatoos and macaws and doves and lories and parakeets.
But how did you go? What's the reason? Why did you go to United States?
Oh, I was in England, in Hastings, at a convention. And I had a request to go to England to do the convention, plus stay in there to work in Eastbourne and Hastings. But I just didn't like England. At that time, that was not my thing. I just didn't like it. But there was somebody there from United States that had a company called Rings and Things. And he asked me, he saw my stuff that I had made, and he saw the quality, and he said, would you like to come and work for me? And I said, no. And he said, why? No, because I don't know, United States scares me. I said, I was frightened about it. And he said, what do you mean? Well, I've seen the movies, McCloud, Kojak, and all that. And I thought that's what it is. There were skyscrapers everywhere. And
how old were you at that time?
I think I was just 19, something like that.
Okay.
And I said, they'll probably kill me in a week, I said. And he said, you're full of crap. So what happened was he called me every day and just, you got to come, you got to come. And finally he called me and said, I booked you at the Chase Park Plaza Hotel. It's a convention here. So you got to come. So I had to go. So I went there.
Okay.
And it wasn't what I thought. It was great. It was great. So I did that show in St. Louis. And from that show, I got 10 jobs, engagements from that show. And then it just started.
At other magic conventions?
Yes, at other magic conventions. And there was one at a private thing. And so in every one I did, so I did another one. And I got more. I just kept going.
Okay.
And I didn't go home, so I stayed.
You stayed in the U.S.?
Yeah, I liked the audience. When I came there, the American audience, it was weird. The first show, I got a standing ovation, and I didn't know what it was. They stood up and cheered and screamed. Yeah, first show I did was standing ovation. And I thought they stood up and walked out. I didn't know, so I quit. I said, what's going on? These people are crazy.
Oh, they're leaving.
Yeah, they're walking out on me. So I thought I didn't think I was that bad. So they started walking out, and the stage manager was standing, and he said, what are you doing? Keep going, keep going. I said, they're leaving. No, you dummy. I explained it later. So I continue, and I said, what? So he explained this to me. Yeah. And I called my dad, I remember. I said, these people are great. They're crazy. So I think I'll stay for a while. But it was different. I was very different. I had different colors in the show. It was maroon tails, and it was just different. And they liked it. I did it to music. And at that time, it wasn't that common, really. So they thought, when you came from Europe, you can look like that with pink stuff and maroon stuff. It was okay.
And then also a tall 6'4" tall blonde Swede as well.
Yeah, it worked fine. It worked for me. So I got a lot of bookings, and I started doing conventions, and I traveled back and forth, East Coast to West Coast, and so I lived there for 30 years total.
3 years. But in the start, you worked at Rings and Things?
Yes, I worked at Rings and Things in St. Louis, and they went under. So I started my own business right then. So I was only working for them. They were about 3 years before they went under when I came there in the 70s. And then it went out of business, so I started my own. And I started in some of the places, the facilities that they used. I just got them and continued my business. So, and then I did my stuff, and I wanted to produce the best possible quality of magic props that I can think of. So that was my goal.
Yeah, and when we hear about the Tim Star product line with all the cups and balls and so on, everybody just knows that it's really good quality.
Well, I try. Yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
But then you started to go to work on cruise ships as well.
Yeah, that was much later. But I worked in. There was a friend that called me. Lance Burton is his name. He also
never heard about him.
Never heard of him. Now we hang around for a long, long time. But he called me and said, "There's a guy in Kentucky that needs to have a good magician in this theme park called Tombstone Junction." So he said, "Can you do it? I've done it with Matt King 2 years. So can't you do it? Because I don't have time." I suggested you to do it because you have a dove act and stuff. So I did. And at that place, there was a ventriloquist, Bill Bowley. And he saw me and he said, "Man, you would work great on a cruise ship. Would you like to work on a cruise ship?" And always I answered straight. I said, "No." And but he said, he talked me into it. So I said, "Well, let's try it." So I did, and I fell in love with it.
Okay.
Because I was so spoiled. You got spoiled. You had a humongous stage, and these were big cruise ships. You have 1,500 passengers. So you have this humongous stage with a Las Vegas show, dancers, variety show. It was jugglers. It was ventriloquists. It was everything you can imagine. But you have your own dressing room. My birds I didn't have to travel. I didn't have to pack. My stand was there. You just push it out, jump in your tails, and you go out there. And I thought, this is great. And
you can see the world.
Yeah, you can see the world. You got your own cabin. You got food. It didn't cost anything. You can eat as much you want. It was great. Eat lobster every day. It was good. So I liked it. So I stayed there a long time.
Yeah, but you didn't end up just as a performer.
No.
You also.
After about 2 years, they came to me and asked me if I want to be a cruise director. And I said no. Of course, that's how I always do. So, and he said, why not? No, I said, that guy works too hard. He's up all the day and night. I said, my gosh, I like to go, when I go on the islands, I want to go surfing and I want to go swimming, scuba diving. And no, that guy works too hard. So he said, no, you got to try. You got to try. You would be good at it. And I said, nah. So I said no for a long time until I saw the cabin that the cruise director had on the top floor with the balcony and the 2-room and the bathtub. If you have a bathtub on the cruise ship, you can get pretty much anything you want. So, and the pay, and I said, okay, I'll try it. Okay. So I started doing that.
So you started booking talents? Or
yeah, you were...
taking care of them?
Yes, you can then pick what you want. It was great. I could call up my old friends that I met, and said, you want to work on a cruise ship?
And they said no.
Yeah, no, they jumped at it right away. So I can call then, my people I met, jugglers, ventriloquists and everything, and then I booked them and got them on there. I could put my own show together. It was great. And of course, they had the Las Vegas dancers. I couldn't do anything with them, but the variety acts in between. So it was a great show. I mean, it was a huge stage. I had 10 to 12 dancers, all the time, and with the plumes, and it was great. And the orchestra, 12-piece orchestra sitting there, and it was great.
It was great.
I liked it.
Yeah, but you mentioned that you eventually felt that you were working all the time, and you got a little bit fed up with it. Yeah,
the problem with the cruise ship is that when you're working on a ship, you are totally excluded away from the world. Nobody knows where you're at. People think, oh, he quit magic, he's not performing, because you're gone. You're totally gone if you're on the cruise ship. And even like Christer Nilsson here in Sweden, he just thought, what happened? You don't do any magic convention, it means you're not doing magic anymore. I don't know.
And Christer Nilsson is he's the owner of the Swedish Magic Archive, so to speak. He's the main man to go to when it comes to news in magic in Sweden.
Yeah,
that's why,
so
and even he wanted to know what you were doing, what you were up to.
So I was just, you're gone, and years just flew by. I mean, I was there almost 11 years, so I thought, oh my gosh, I got to get out of here. So I did. I just quit, got on land, and start getting back into it again. So there was so many rumors. They say, oh, he's in Germany, he's breeding horses or something. I heard.
But did you do
rumor. That? Yeah, but in the States I did that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But they said, but Germany, I was with a German girlfriend. That's what. So all these rumors has got put together, and finally there was somebody in Sweden that had opened a website, and they were talking like a blog, talking and everything, and I saw these things there. Finally, I had to go and straighten it out. I said, no, I'm here. This is what I'm doing, and so on. So then I got back into it on land again. But I've always been doing magic. I mean, I never quit.
But you were on hiatus, so to speak, about doing the show.
Yeah. That I did. It was so because on the cruise you got spoiled. You go out there and there's 1,000 to 2,000 people, depending on which ship you're on, passengers sitting there seeing your show. And there's 2 seatings, so they go and the next seating comes in and you do. There's 1,500 people. You get kind of spoiled with that. So when you go and land, I didn't feel like going to do a little show somewhere. No. So then I did different things. So I changed the little magic and I did different stuff instead.
Okay, but you still continue to do your product line?
Oh, yes. Yes. Always done that. Always done that.
And then eventually you thought that, Sweden was calling. You had to go back to Sweden again. Yes,
I lived in Tennessee. That's where I found my wife, and we have a son. And I wanted north up again. Tennessee is not a good state when it comes to magic. Not a lot of things happening there. So I wanted north, St. Louis, Chicago, or where things are going a little faster. And so I told my wife, and she said, well, if we're going to move, why don't we move to Sweden? I said, what? And I said, you don't know what you're talking about. It's cold over there. So we went home and stayed home for about 5 months so she can see it.
Okay.
And I said, if you still want like it here, fine, we move. And she said, I love it here. So, and I said, well, I can make my stuff anywhere. I can make it in Sweden. I don't have to be in the States making my products. I can do it anywhere. Now we have the internet and everybody, it's so easy to get in touch with everybody. So I said, no problem. I can do it here.
But do you do any shows nowadays?
I do, but not as much as before.
Okay.
I don't. I mean, if they really ask me, I say no about 3 times and then I start giving up. So I go and do it. But but I like to do magic for magicians. That's more fun for me right now. This give me more thrill to come up with something and to work with magicians. And I think it's fun to help magicians. When I started here in Sweden, and it was not easy to learn new things. Many people, they were so secretive. So they hold on to their stuff. They didn't want to show you, and there was no help. You didn't get any help, and you didn't have internet. You didn't have the DVDs. There was these old books, and that's what you had, and you didn't have any help. So I thought one day, maybe if I get to be good, I'm gonna help anybody that asks me, because I don't want them to go through what I did. So I love to help magicians. I help young guys and with everything. So I think that's fun.
You helped, for instance, the winner of Sweden's Got Talent, Charlie Caper.
Yeah.
With his acts. You did a monstrous reel or something.
I made some props there that he used. Some monster stuff that he used. And I worked with Johan Ståhl with his props for his stuff.
Johan Ståhl, who was the silver medalist in FISM 2009, yes.
So I came up with some stuff for him there that he's using.
You work with
gimmicks.
me?
Yeah. So it's fun.
But not only that, but you also work with a lot of other big magicians. I know that Penn and Teller called you.
Yeah,
wanted you to
made some stuff. Penn and Teller, yeah. So I work.
Mac King, for instance.
Oh yeah, Mac King.
Yeah, and so on.
Yeah.
So your things are thought after, so to speak.
Yeah, it's they know that if I make it, it should hold on. It should work. It shouldn't break, and it works. So that's good. So if I wanted to, I can work a lot more. But you only have so many hours in a day, so you can't really, I get a lot of requests, but you can't do it all. It just does not work. It just doesn't work. You have to limit yourself. So.
Okay. But you have a product line, and you make them. We were at your workshop just recently, and you showed me how quickly you work with it. I was really impressed by it, because I know there's a lot of work behind that.
Yeah.
It looks so simple when you turn one piece of solid metal into a bowl, for instance. And you just showed me. It's very impressive. It's a really handiwork. It's fantastic.
It's
craft.
It's craft that I learned in the United States when I got there. Just as the metal spinning, as it's called. So it's very interesting, and I've always been like, if I see something I don't know, I want to learn to do it. I just have to. I can't sleep. So, but that helps me. It has helped me so much through the years. When it comes to the point where I'm going to make a prop for somebody, a gimmick, or somebody have an idea, could this be done? And I say, oh yeah. And then you just take it and you make it. And if you know all these metals, how to attach this, how to form this, and it's much easier to do it.
And also, not only with metal as well. I know that you made your own stage outfit, your tuxedo.
Oh yeah. I learned to sew when I was very young, because I wanted to get a set of tails. Yeah. And I couldn't afford to buy them. I mean, it was just a fortune to have it made, because I didn't want black. I wanted a different color, and I had to go to a tailor. So I went to a tailor course to learn to sew. So I sewed it myself. Then I sewed my assistant's clothes too, her dresses and everything. So I've been, all the stuff I've been having through the years, I sew myself.
Wonderful.
And it works perfect.
And your product line with all the cups and balls and all the fire bowls and so on, where can, if people want to know more about you and your product line, where would they go?
That's creationsbystar.com.
Yeah,
creationsbystar.com.
Wonderful. Thank you, Team Star.
Thank you very much.